This is Unit 6, Level 2, Metric Systems Conversions. Just like our customary measurement system, the rest of the world uses metric system, and it also has 3 categories in which we can convert measurements. The first is length. In this case, comes in the form of meters. The second, which is our capacity or liquid measurement, is going to be in liters. And then the last one for weight or mass is going to be in grams. These are what we call our unit measurements. It's kind of the starting point. Now you're probably looking at this chart going, why does it say King Henry died unusually drinking chocolate milk? Well, the nice part about the metric system is that the conversions are the same if you're dealing with length, capacity, or mass. So unlike customary, we have to know that there are 4 quarts in a gallon, but there's only 2 pints in 1 quart, and there's 8 fluid ounces in 1 cup. Instead of having to memorize all these different numbers, they work in the powers of 10, which if you remember back, we did in Unit 1, we also worked again with it in Unit 3, and we just moved the decimal. That's the exact same thing we're going to be doing here as we move through the metric system. So the King Henry died unusually drinking chocolate milk is an acronym or a kind of a way to remember that the measurements go from kilo, hecto, deca on the left side of the unit. And then, of course, unusually stands for the unit, meters, liters, or grams. And then on the right-hand side, drinking chocolate milk stands for deci, centi, and milli. So if you're talking about meters, you have a kilometer. But if you're talking about grams, you'd have a kilogram. So the measurement or the difference in the measurement is the same. It's just a different category, whether it be length, capacity, or weight. And the way we move through these is going to be exact same no matter which. So we'll go through one of each and we'll show you how to use this chart to help you get from one measurement to the next. So let's go ahead and start and say that we have 20,000 centigrams, which you'll notice in our chart it has the label of CG. And we want to know how many hectograms that is, which if looking at the chart has the measurement or has the label HG. So I'm going to put a big star where we're starting. We're starting here. And I'm going to put another star in a different color where we're stopping, which is over here. So we're starting at centi, and we're working our way over to hecto. So I want you to count with me to see how many places we're moving in what direction. So we are starting at centi, and we're moving to the left. 1, 2, 3, 4. Now, if you remember back to when we worked with powers of 10, we were able to simply move the decimal whenever we were multiplying, we moved it to the right. Whenever we were dividing, we moved it to the left. Now, the same principle with customary works with metric. We are going from a smaller, because centi is a smaller measurement, than hecto. So we would divide. Well, if you remember back to powers of 10, whenever we wanted to divide, we would move to the left, which is exactly what we did when we moved from centigrams over to hectograms. We moved it to the left 4 places. So hopefully you've connected the dots here and you realize that, yes, we're dividing, but all we really have to do is start where we're starting, figure out how many places we're moving in what direction, and do the same thing with the decimal. Now you're probably looking at centigrams with 20,000 and you're thinking, well, there is no decimal, Miss Dimmel. But we should remember back to Unit 3 and know that if there is no decimal on a number, we can simply add 1 to the end. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to write 20,000, and I'm going to add a decimal to the end. And we're going to move that decimal 4 places to the left. 1, 2, 3, 4. So 20,000 centigrams are equal to 2 hectograms. Let's take another example here. I have 3 kiloliters, and I want to know how many liters that is. So again, that's a capacity measurement, but we're going to treat it the same as what we did when we did the weight measurements of grams. And so I'm starting out with kiloliters. I'm starting over here, put a star there, and I'm moving over to liters. So I'll go ahead and put a mark to where I'm going, and that's here in the units. And I do know that kiloliter is larger than a liter, so I am going from a large measurement to a small measurement, which means I will, if I think back to customary, be multiplying. Let's go ahead and figure out how many places I am multiplying. So let's figure out, again, how many places we're moving in what direction. So I'm going to start at where we began with kiloliters, and I'm going to move to the right 1, 2, 3 places. So 3 places to the right. Now, if you remember back to powers of 10, of course when we multiplied, we moved to the right, which is exactly what we're doing here. That's why we're going 3 places to the right. Again, 3 does not have a decimal. So where do I put the decimal? At the end. And then I'm going to go ahead and move it 3 places to the right, exactly what I did here in my chart. 1, 2, 3. My decimal is now here at the end. It's no longer here. And if you'll remember back to our powers of 10, there was some placeholder that I put into each of one of these spots. And you're probably telling yourself, it's a 0, and you are right. So once I add those zeros, I now no longer have the number 3. I now have the number 3,000. That's because in 3 kiloliters, there are 3,000 liters. Again, moving from a large to a small, we're going to multiply, which makes sense because in powers of 10, whenever we move to the right, which we did here 3 places, we were multiplying. Now, in our last example, let's go ahead and look at that length measurement. The nice thing, again, about the metric system is it's the same no matter if you're dealing with length, capacity, or the weight. So we're going to start off, and I'm going to give you a number that already has a decimal in it. So I'm going to do 5/10 of a meter. Okay, 5/10 of a meter, and I want to know how many centimeters that is. Again, I'm starting at meters, which is that unit, and I'm moving over to centimeters. So I am moving to the right, which means I am multiplying. And let's figure out how many places that it is. Count with me. 1, 2. So I'm moving to the right 2 places. Now again, because 5/10 already has a decimal, I don't need to add one. All I have to do is move that decimal 2 places to the right. 1, 2. My new decimal is there. And again, I'll add that placeholder of 0 in there. So 5/10 of a meter is equal to 50 centimeters. Again, this is level 2 of Unit 6 Metric Systems Conversions.